Okay, so we watched the season 2 finale for The Mandalorian.
Oh, yes.
So, The Rescue. This is chapter 16.
Yes.
Wow. That's all I can say about that.
That was pretty good. As a series finale, or a season finale, I guess.
Yeah, as a season finale, for season finale for the show, it was basically flawless.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's been a Star Wars fan since as far back as I can remember, I mean that's like a 10 out of 10. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
I can't rate that highly enough, especially that ending. The episode as a whole is good. Like not just like we'll get to the big reveal at the later on. But before you get to that, again, obviously spoilers, huge spoiler warning here. Um this is the season finale of a show, so obviously there's going to be massive spoilers. So anyway, the way they get on Gideon's ship from the very beginning is even well thought out.
Yeah.
Because like normally they just do the usual like nonsense where they just ride up in the shuttle. Like they find the shuttle that cloner guy's on, and then they capture that, which that was cool in its own right, because I don't think we've ever seen somebody like paralyze a ship and board it like that. Like,
No.
because we've seen ion cannons before, like Empire, but it was that gigantic one at the Hoth base, and it was like knocking out Star Destroyers. We've never seen like a portable one, so yeah, apparently you can just ion blast ships and then board them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then, like, usual Star Wars trope is basically you just steal a ship or something. Like Return of the Jedi, they take like a Lambda shuttle, which is what this is, and then you just BS your way on board, pretty much. Like you give them some coordinates or something, and for some reason that passes.
Every time.
The Empire's got terrible security. We didn't cover it really for last episode, but to take a short detour, what was up with when Din Djarin took his helmet off and the computer like gave him access to Moff
Yeah,
Gideon's?
I'm not sure.
Because it was scanning him, and then it's like, oh, I got to take my helmet off so the computer can scan me. And it was like, so what was the computer looking for? The computer was like, oh, you have a face. Here's our data files.
Yeah, I know. I don't get it. It's like
This is like the Empire really needs to work on their security clearances. But I guess it was kind of like the galactic version of like the CAPTCHA or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, are you a robot? Yeah, back to this episode. Instead of doing that, they come up with like this elaborate like ruse where Boba Fett's chasing after the shuttle, like firing at them, and they're like requesting emergency assistance or whatever. Yeah, landing. Yeah. So then the guy's more likely to allow you on board because of the frantic situation that's happening. They're not going to ask you for your clearance codes and stuff. So that made way more sense than the usual plan, which is just to make up some numbers and hope it's correlates with the clearance codes and hope they don't change their protocols ever. Okay, so yeah, they get on board, and then we have this like really cool action sequence, and it's all female characters. I don't think anybody's complaining about Mary Sue's or any of that kind of nonsense this time, because it's like well constructed. We've established that all these characters are basically badasses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what happens when you actually develop your characters for once.
Right. Yeah, it's not an issue that there's female characters, so therefore it's bad. It's the fact that your characters aren't developed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in this case, you have fully established that all of these characters, two of them are Mandalorians, and then you've got Cara Dune and Boba Fett's assistant.
Yeah, like the assassin or whatever.
Yeah, can't remember her name is Fennec, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like Fennec or something.
But yeah, it's the four of them, and they're just like mopping up the stormtroopers, and then Din goes in on his own to try to find Grogu and along the way, there's a really cool like all the stuff with the Dark Troopers. They really had like next level tension building.
Yeah.
Because other than the dubstep soundtrack,
Activate the dubstep.
activate dubstep. But aside from that, like they really hyped them up. Like they were really terrifying. Like they always had this like tension building music for it, and when they activated, I love the scene where Din comes around the corner and the door opens up like as soon as he gets there, and he's like, no, and he's like trying to frantically like close the door.
Yeah.
One of them gets through and like beats the crap out of him.
Yeah. One of them does. It's like the Terminator.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they're blaster proof, they're flame proof. Like he has to use that Beskar spear to kill it. Like it's
he has hit in the neck or whatever, and it's like sever its, I guess, connections or whatever.
Yeah, and he has like all kinds of trouble with one of them, and there's like 20 in the chamber.
Yeah, especially when you especially like a punch through blast doors.
Yeah, they're like definitely a major threat.
Yeah.
And so he blows out like the other 20 out the airlock, but of course that doesn't kill them because they're droids. So, and we've already established again, you have established abilities that in previous episodes we've seen that they can fly, like Iron Man, basically. So of course later on they just fly back into the ship. Yeah. But Din finds Grogu, and he also finds Moff Gideon with him. And it turns into a big fight between the two of them, which I kind of predicted a long time ago, that we were going to have the Beskar spear versus Darksaber fight.
I mean, the Darksaber can't pierce through Beskar, so...
Right. It's kind of the only problem with the Mandalorians, is they're basically, like, blaster-proof, they're lightsaber-proof, it's just, like...
They're everything-proof.
They're basically almost as broken as the Jedi, so it's like...
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense.
I guess if you're civilization that's fighting Jedi for hundreds of years,
right?
You get somewhere to get past their magic, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say that, like the old Republic era, the Mandalorians were like the third faction that was on equal terms pretty much with the Sith and the Jedi, so it kind of makes sense. There's an interesting plot point with that, which I'm sure will lead somewhere later on, is that because Din Djarin defeats Moff Gideon, now he's the rightful owner of the Darksaber, which is what Bo-Katan was after. So it's apparently revealed that the only way Bo-Katan can get the Darksaber now is to defeat Din Djarin in combat.
Yeah, or you'll be a pretender. You won't actually be on the throne, because it's like you didn't actually get it through the ritual. I don't know, it's like a ritual battle or something, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that. It's he says it's the the Darksaber doesn't have power, the story does. Yeah. So you just because you have it doesn't mean anything. The fact that you have it means that you won it in combat. So you're the best, like the ultimate warrior, because you defeated the previous Mandalore.
Yeah.
And that's how you get like crazy stuff. Like I know in the Clone Wars, I haven't watched enough of the Clone Wars, but I do know that Darth Maul becomes the ruler of Mandalore at one point, because he's able to defeat, I think, Pre Vizsla and take the Darksaber off of him. So yeah, it's all based on like your combat prowess.
Yeah.
So that was a cool plot point that's going to set things up, I think, for next season, as well as
definitely
as well as the post-credits scene. I'm sure is going to tie into the next season. The Dark Troopers come back, and they're pretty much like trapped in the main bridge area, and so there's like 20 of these Dark Troopers, and they're pounding on the door. And there's basically no way they're going to be able to defeat these things because they're blaster proof pretty much. And then all of a sudden this lone X-Wing like flies across the like in the background.
Yeah.
And it comes in, and the tension building there again. Like I talked about how tension was with the Dark Troopers, but that scene where you see this X-wing fly in, and then the moment before the reveal of who it is, because it literally could be anyone. Like I mean, like I think we all secretly kind of knew who it was going to be because it's the only person who makes sense. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you're like, are they really gonna do it?
Yeah.
Like, because it's like too much of it's like too fan servicey or whatever. Like, it's like there's only one choice that makes sense, but it's almost like it's too obvious or something, and that's why you kind of your brain's like, nah, they're not gonna do it. Like, this has got to be somebody else. And then you see this like hooded, cloaked figure wearing like a black hood, like walking down the hallway, and it's like you instantly know that it's Luke.
Yeah, with his green lightsaber.
Yeah, he has the green lightsaber and the black glove hand and stuff. Like, it was
Especially
insane.
like Return of the Jedi Luke, too.
Yeah,
like,
it was
Return of the Jedi.
that was crazy. But yeah, for like that moment where the X-wing comes in and you don't know who arrived, they build up so much tension there. The music starts swelling and like everything's happening before the reveal. And it's like, like my heart was like pounding because it's like, who is this guy? Like, is it actually Luke? Like, who is this guy? And then you kind of realize it's Luke before they even show up because the music gets like super epic all of a sudden. It's like, so it's just like they're this swelling score, and it's like this is insane. Like there's no possible way they could have done it better for Star Wars fans. Like that was like the moment that basically made up for the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, it kind of showed the difference between Jon Favreau's Star Wars compared to like J.J. Abrams' Star Wars.
Right, J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. Yeah, it's like night and day.
Yeah, like in the Jon Favreau Star Wars is like celebration of the fans.
Right.
Like, the J.J. Abrams one's like contempt of the fans.
Yeah, like I was just like that whole scene because he just comes in and he just wastes those Dark Troopers like they're not even there.
Yeah.
Like he's just cutting through them like butter, and it's like it's expanded universe, old legends Luke. Like he's like this unstoppable badass, and he just does it so calmly too. Like he kind of fights a bit like Anakin's fighting style, but it's so much calmer.
Yeah.
And so he's just like cutting through these guys with like effortlessly. And
which they actually kind of had like a scene where Luke is basically the same scene from Rogue One, but it's Luke instead of Darth Vader.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like the hallway.
Down, like, the hallway just killing them all.
Yeah, the hallway massacre.
That's the exact same thing.
Yeah, just like the music, the way he moves and everything. Like it was like mesmerizing. Like we were watching it like together on this thing, and like I didn't say a word the entire time that Luke appeared. And then he takes the hood off, and it's like de-aged Mark Hamill, which I guess some people have been complaining about that, but it's like I thought that had way more impact than if it had been Sebastian Stan or some other actor. Because you're like, who the hell is this guy? It's like, this isn't Luke.
The de-age looks really good. Like, it looks a lot better than it has been. I know they put it in like Rogue One. They had Leia and what's his name? Tarkin.
Yeah, Peter Cushing's.
Yeah, Peter Cushing, which you can obviously tell it was like not really him. Well, this one is really. It looks very close to Luke. I think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Luke. A lot of people complain. Well, I guess not a lot of people, but some people were complaining about it, and they're saying like it was disturbing, like his eyes looked so weird or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't blink, but other than that, I thought it looked pretty good, like for what it was. And it wasn't so much that they needed to have the best possible CGI. It was that moment for the fans more than anything. To just see, like, Return of the Jedi era Luke. And him be so awesome and not just be a bitch like he was in the Last Jedi. Like,
yeah, Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was great, but I don't think it would have had the same impact. Like when he took the hood off, I actually teared up. Like it was, if it had been Sebastian Stan or somebody, it wouldn't have had the same reaction.
Yeah, because like, oh, I guess it's Luke.
I guess it's Luke. Yeah, it's like, this is like, it is Luke, even though it's a CGI recreation. Although Mark Hamill definitely did the voice.
Yeah, I don't know if he's actually acting here, or like if it's Mark Hamill just doing cameo acting scene. But that would be kind of hard to have him not like show up at the studio one day and no one saying anything about it.
Right. Yeah, he could have just recorded it. That was great. I mean, there's nothing more to say about that. I mean, that's
kind of like this ended after that. Like,
yeah, he takes Grogu and he leaves. We also get Mandalorian. Din Djarin takes his helmet off, so Grogu sees his face.
Yeah,
finally,
one time.
And then all of his friends presumably see him too. At least the back of his head.
Yeah, you could see his back of his head at least.
Put his helmet back on before they saw it. But
okay, we see he has hair at least. He's not a bald guy.
Yeah, he has hair. He's a human and he has hair. That's what they know. Yeah, and then the post-credit scene.
Oh yeah.
The Book of Boba. So
they didn't say anything about that during the Star Wars thing.
No, they didn't. And I think the reason why they didn't do it is it would have been a bit of a spoiler because you would have known Boba Fett survives.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because it kind of hyped it up that there's potentially could be somebody who died, and nobody died.
Yeah.
So.
I know. What's his name died? Fortuna.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, like the characters from the show.
My favorite character.
Yeah, your favorite character of all time met an untimely demise.
He got killed.
He got fat and then he died.
Pretty much.
It's pretty much.
He became Jabba and then he got shot.
Yeah, it's kind of the law of nature. Well, I mean, people have been making fun of Boba Fett putting on some pounds too, so he's on the way to becoming the next Jabba. Boba the Hutt.
I'm kind of wondering how this next... Is it going to be just following just Boba Fett, or is Din Djarin going to be there as well, or...
Well, here's the thing. It says December 2021, and that's the date we got for Mandalorian Season 3.
Okay.
Because Mandalorian...
They have two shows going on at once.
Because Mandalorian Season 3 is... The premiere episode is supposed to be Christmas next year.
Oh, okay. Unless it's like before Christmas, and it's kind of leading into the Mandalorian. Which...
It must be, well, if this is like a real short show, like a event series, like maybe it's only 3 episodes or something, then it could be leading into the Mandalorian. Doesn't make any sense financially though, because you're running 2 shows the same month, and it's like you're not going to get any money back from both shows. Yeah. So I don't know if they do that, then they're definitely going fan service, like hardcore, because they're not even making any extra profit off of it. But this could also just be Mandalorian Season 3, because
maybe like the start or something. I guess like the first episode, the Book of Boba Fett or something.
Well, the thing is, Mandalorian, if you notice, they're not episodes; they're chapters, like a book.
Yeah.
So it could be Season 1 and Season 2 were the Book of Din Djarin or something, and now his story's basically done for now. And then it goes into Boba Fett. But the thing that's going to happen, the thing is going to be very interesting for the Mandalorian aspect of things, is that it's very much setting up a kind of Game of Thrones type scenario where, like, all these different clans of Mandalorians are like fighting for control of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Because we've got that setup. We have the Darksaber situation that's gonna be resolved eventually. You also get that scene in the bar where Boba Fett gets into a fight with Casca Reeves and Bo-Katan, and that's like there's only 4 Mandalorians in the show, and they're already fighting each other over clan disputes.
I think, what's her name? The one actress was like, "You're not a Mandalorian."
Yeah, you're not a man. Yeah, she's.
But you're not a Mandalorian.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, they still consider him not a Mandalorian, and it's not because Jango wasn't a Mandalorian. It's because he's a clone.
Yeah, he's a clone. That's why. And she even says something about that. She's like, "I've heard your voice hundreds of times."
Right, which makes sense because every clone trooper would have this voice. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. So the Mandalorians are already at each other's throats, and they haven't even got to their planet yet. So they're and that's what Mandalore's problem is anyway, because Mandalorians have a very, it's like samurai clans or like Scottish clans in the Highlands or something. It's just constant warfare for like tribal warfare all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, that's one of those things that is definitely going to happen in Season 3. Like, Season 3 may be more Mandalorian than Season 1 and 2 were, because Season 1 and 2 is just Lone Wolf and Cub, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was more... There was a lot of Jedi stuff going on, and I don't know if there's going to be any Jedi stuff going on going forward for a while.
Yeah, until, Din Djarin goes and tries to find...
Grogu, yeah. Because the only problem I've seen from our little search online afterwards was some people commenting about this was that, Grogu potentially is Luke's first student. And he's at the temple, and it's like... all I gotta say is that Ben Solo better not kill him.
Yeah, I wonder... Because he said something about that in the movie. He basically killed all the students.
Because he killed all the students. That's how he became Kylo Ren.
Yeah, so...
But Grogu already survived Order 66, so maybe he knows...
He didn't survive Ben Solo.
Maybe he ducks out of that one, too. I don't know. But that's still like 25 years from now, though, so...
Yeah, maybe he's off on his own by now.
Or... Well, not quite that. Maybe about 20 years or something. So there's still time. I doubt he goes 20 years without ever seeing Din Djarin again.
Yeah, especially when Din Djarin's like, I'll see you again.
Right. Plus, I don't know if Disney wants to take that chance because their casual fan viewership, which is probably like 80 to 90% of the viewers, are basically watching just because of the Din Djarin Grogu connection.
Yeah.
Because like
not really the greater Star Wars thing, but
no, and this scene was for them too because Luke Skywalker, everybody recognizes Luke. If it had been some other random guy like Cal Kestis or something, like people would have been like, who the hell is this? So like Luke definitely was the wider fan base thing. But going forward, you've got this Book of Boba Fett, which might be Season 3. It might not be Season 3. It might be something else. I think all the Mandalorian stuff is going to get into like this clan warfare kind of thing, which is going to be very Game of Thrones-esque with people betraying each other constantly and everything else. And then the Jedi stuff is probably going to be in the Ahsoka show.
Yeah, because Ahsoka's supposed to have her own show, so that's probably going to be... We'll probably see more of Mark Hamill, maybe Grogu or something.
Yeah, you might see that in that series, because Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn.
Yeah.
Which I still think Thrawn is the big bad of the entire, era.
Yeah.
Because we have 3 shows in that time period, 4 maybe now, depending on what Boba Fett's thing is. But you have another Mandalorian, you have Ahsoka, which is the plot of Ahsoka is to try to find Ezra, who's on the edge of the universe with Thrawn. And that could possibly have Luke. Another possibility.
And then the Gina Carano show.
Yeah, because you have that, whatever, that Rangers of the New Republic, that has to be Cara Dune. Like, what else?
Yeah. The only thing that makes sense.
Right. And it could be Cara Dune, it could be, the Mandalorians could show up in that.
Which I think they said something about. I think they said they wanted to, they're kind of into, they're like going to be like cameos almost. They're not going to be like, it's going to focus on certain characters, but they'll show up in other shows.
Yeah, well, they're all going to...
Thrawn is your Thanos, I guess.
Yeah. And then there's also that sniper guy from the last episode. He could show up in that.
Especially since he kind of won their respect almost.
Yeah.
Because he's not really an Imperial anymore. He's just like
no.
He's very PTSD really badly.
He's actually very anti-Imperial at this point.
Yeah.
But which fits with the rebellion though, because a lot of the lead members of the rebellion early on were members of the Imperial Academy or whatever. Like Han Solo was an Imperial soldier.
Yeah.
I think
he was fighting.
Yeah, he was in the Imperial Army. I think Wedge Antilles was in the Imperial Academy or something before he got into Rogue Squadron and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's how he's became. It's one of the reasons why he's such a good fighter pilot, because he was trained in TIE fighters, so he knows how they maneuver and everything. But which that's another thing that goes down the line, because we got a Rogue Squadron movie coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this era alone, there's 3 to 4 shows. I think they're gonna separate the Jedi stuff, and that's gonna be the Ahsoka show. And then the non-Jedi stuff is going to be Rangers of the New Republic and Mandalorian. And
Mandalorian probably focus more on Mandalorian.
Actually, Mandalorians, yeah.
And then the Republic one's going to show about, probably the New Republic, maybe?
Yeah, trying to...
Maybe he's looking to see a little bit of that.
That might be where they introduce the First Order and all that kind of stuff, too.
Yeah, maybe that's when First Order starts showing up. They'll probably sprinkle them in on every show, but... You probably get more of the First Order look.
Yeah.
They're looking for whatever the problem is out in the middle of nowhere.
Right, they'll get that guy, the did you lose anybody guy? He'll show up.
That older one?
Yeah, when your planet blew up. Yeah, he'll show up. He'll be the lead. He's the Ranger of the New Republic. So, yeah, we're going to get all that stuff. It's going to be wild. And I really think that they're going to bring in anything from the expanded universe. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we got Mara Jade, or we got the Yuuzhan Vong War, or literally anything. The Thrawn plot might actually follow the Thrawn novels. We have no idea.
Yeah.
Because even the little stuff in this, the Dark Troopers, they could have just very well made up something that was completely different from the Dark Troopers and just called it that. But
the Sith Troopers.
Yeah. Well, they did have Sith Troopers. It's just red Stormtroopers. Yeah, but the Dark Troopers is they even say they're Phase 3 Dark Troopers, which follows the actual video games and stuff, because there's 3 phases of Dark Trooper, and the last stage is a droid. Not only used the name, they also used the actual backstory and old canon and stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing they did say was, when Timothy Zahn came back to write the new Thrawn novels, he wrote the new Thrawn novels in the interim between 3 and 4, and it sets up the Rebels appearance of Thrawn. And somebody asked him, how is this Thrawn different than the Thrawn you wrote in the 90s? And his response was, they're the same person, it's just a different point in his career.
Oh, there you go.
So that basically kind of hints that the original novels are still semi-canon.
Yeah.
So we could see all of that in this. And you still could weave it into make sense with Force Awakens and all that crap too. But there's a lot of people keep forgetting there's 25 years or so between Mandalorian and Force Awakens. That's a lot of room to work with.
Yeah, to change things or whatever, or add in or add more things and try to.
They could actually make they could expand on the Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker in a way that actually makes those movies palatable. So, because some of the ideas Mandalorian has presented already has done that, because we've already gotten potentially the early phases of Snoke and the First Order and all that kind of stuff explained here.
I mean, they have his blood and everything else.
Yeah, it's very obvious they're trying to do Snoke or the Emperor kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know anything. We don't know anything about the Emperor. The Emperor we saw in Rise of Skywalker might be a clone.
Yeah, you never know.
Because they constantly cloning the Emperor in the expanded universe stories. So they also clone Luke. And they also cloned Luke at some point. So you could have evil Luke. Who knows what you're gonna have with this. But yeah, I think the Ahsoka show is gonna be cool. I mean, all of them are gonna be good. But another thing I thought of too is, what if the Ahsoka show has Anakin as like a Force ghost or whatever?
That would be kind of interesting. They probably should do that, because if Hayden Christensen wants to do it, he probably could.
Well, we know he's in Obi-Wan. Like, that's 100% confirmed. Which that's
it's like, I want to do that, and I'll do some other stuff, and they probably try to get the contracts out and everything else.
Right, because that's wild enough. Because that's going to be that show's version of this scene of the Luke moment. That's going to be that'll be the Luke moment for the prequel fans. This was for the original trilogy fans. The Obi-Wan series is like the love letter to the prequel fans.
Yeah.
So the Hayden Christensen appearance is going to be that same reaction, basically, for prequel fans.
Yeah.
So, because we know he's in that as Darth Vader, but I suspect he's probably in it more than that. I think he's in dream sequences or flashbacks or...
Yeah, that's what I think. He's probably going to be in some sort of dream sequence or flashback somewhere.
Because I think he'll probably play Darth Vader too. But I think that's not enough. I think people are going to want to see Anakin. They're not going to want to see, just him in the suit, like Din Djarin with the mask or whatever. So it's going to make a lot more sense if we see other stuff. Plus, there's rumors, like when the Hayden Christensen rumor first emerged, there was rumors that there were like Clone Wars scenes. So
that might be interesting.
We were gonna see like Anakin in the Clone Wars uniform and Obi-Wan in his like clone armor and all that kind of stuff that we see in the animated show, but we never actually saw him wear that in live action. I think that's we're gonna see some kind of flashback scene for that. And we already know Obi-Wan suffers from like PTSD and feels guilty for failing Anakin and all that kind of stuff, so he probably has nightmares constantly. So
yeah, probably that's probably what they're gonna do.
So they'll probably they'll probably do something with that. Anything is kind of weird about that was Kathleen Kennedy heavily hinted that they're gonna like fight each other again, because she says like the rematch of the century or something, and it's like that doesn't quite make a whole lot of sense. But I guess they never actually said that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader never saw each other again after Episode 3.
Yeah.
It was heavily implied, but, Anakin says something about, last we saw, I was but a learner, but now I am the master. And, it's like, that kind of makes it sound like the last time they fought was Mustafar in Episode 3, but that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Because this is 10 years before A New Hope. He could still consider... 10 years later, Darth Vader may have considered him 10 years ago as still being a learner.
Yeah.
Because you still could learn quite a bit in a decade. So that... It's always been ambiguous what that was, so I guess they could have fought each other at some point. Probably not on Tatooine, but that's, who knows if Luke stays on, or Obi-Wan stays on Tatooine that entire time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's gonna be pretty wild going forward. But yeah, I got no complaints with this episode.
No, yeah, I'm kind of excited what's gonna happen. Like, at least in the movies and the TV shows, seeing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, it's kind of a blank slate going forward, because they pretty much resolved almost all of the actual Mandalorian plot lines.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the rest of this is like other plots, because we got Thrawn kind of looming in the background, but we don't really know what's going on between. We don't know if Thrawn's involved with the First Order or not. He could be his own thing entirely.
Yeah, you never know.
So yeah, I don't think there's much else we can say about this one.
Yeah, there's not too much else to say, I don't think. It was a good season. That was a pretty decent season, so.
Yeah, definitely. That season's like near flawless.
Yeah.
Despite some people's complaints, there really wasn't a filler episode. I think people complaining don't know what filler is.
Yeah, when you have 8 episodes to do your story, it's kind of hard to have fillers.
No, because even the ones that people complained were filler weren't. Because they were getting from one planet to another or introducing a character who's pivotal later in the series or something like.
I was waiting for the beach scene. Jin running with his helmet on the beach.
Yes. The driving episode.
Yeah, the driving episode or the beach episode.
Yeah. Din Djarin teaches Grogu how to drive.
Yeah. I was waiting for those episodes.
Yeah, that's filler. Like, nobody... Filler. Yeah, if the episode doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the show, then that's filler. But this... Even the so-called filler episodes went somewhere with the storyline.
Yeah.
And that's like last season, too. People complained about the Prison Break episode because they said it was filler. And it's like, this season, it was pivotal to the season.
Yeah. It's like, you needed that guy.
So, because you needed that guy, and they set up stuff earlier in the season, too. Because that's why those X-Wing pilots knew about Din Djarin, because he was on their records from that Prison Break incident.
Yeah.
Season 2 is better than Season 1 by...
I do agree with that.
By a lot. And Season 1 was great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, best Star Wars since at least Revenge of the Sith. Easy.
Yeah, I do agree with that one.
Alright, so I think that's going to wrap up our coverage of Mandalorian. So, I guess we'll see everybody in December 25th for... next year for Mandalorian Season 3. We're not doing any more videos between now and then.
Yeah. That season, that's it.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. Yeah, we'll have plenty of coverage going on. We got Wonder Woman coming out next week. Actually, this week. And got Marvel shows, 10,000 Marvel shows coming. So
yeah, we have a bunch of stuff coming. So
bunch of stuff coming, and I'm definitely going to start getting those Star Wars novels and possibly reviewing them, doing videos on that. The High Republic novels are interesting me now because it's a whole new era with a blank slate to work with, and there's a series that's connected to it. So I might get started on those. So, but I think that's going to do it for our review of The Mandalorian. So thanks for listening.
All right.
See you.
See you.